what's an intellectual disability? And I said, well, it's when someone's, born, trying to explain this to her.
I'm keen to know more on how do you run this highly empathetic business in terms of you have to put all in. It's very emotive. And run this business and also be a parent. And how's life being a parent? And then what are your lessons for the last 9 years?
Yeah. 9 years. Gosh. I'm functioning, so no, look, it's definitely a tricky balance. I'm definitely having to try put more habits in for myself. I was falling into a little bit of a trap of he'd go to bed, my son, and then I'd be like, oh, I'll just take the laptop into bed and do some work. Next minute, it's 11 p.m. at night. So I've given myself a rule. I do not take the laptop into my room anymore. Absolutely not. When you log off, you log off. I think because I work from home, it's very easy to just be like, oh, I'll just quickly check some emails. Oh, I'm just having my coffee. I'll do this. And I've been finding up until I went on a trip a couple months ago, and up until then, I think I was just working from the minute I woke up to the minute I went to bed. And the whole idea of me going independent in part was also to have a better work-life balance for time with my son. And it wasn't till I kind of came back from my trip and my son actually said to me, Mum, you're always working. I thought you'd have more time for me. And I was kind of like, oh, that's a bit of a heartstring moment, but it's hard. And I definitely, need to put, more balance into it. And it's something I'm learning to do. And I'm putting more little regulation tools in for myself because, as I think I said earlier, in this job, you can carry it. And I used to be able to really kind of disconnect from carrying, emotions and things. But I think I've had a few things in my personal life the last couple of months. And a lot of what I've been going through is actually kind of being mirrored in some of the situations I'm dealing with. So it's kind of like I'm not actually getting a moment to process the things I'm dealing with because it's being confronted in lots of areas in my life. And it's just kind of like, oh my God. So it's so important, self-care. And I know that term gets thrown around a lot, but it really is very important. And I think it's actually really sweet. My son will, he asks me about my job and, people with disabilities. And, he said something to me once, Mum, what's an intellectual disability? And I said, well, it's when someone's, born, trying to explain this to I think he was 7 or 8 at the time. I said, it's someone who's born, their brain's a little bit different to mine and yours, and sometimes it means that they might not be able to speak, they might not be able to do things the way that you or I can. And, he sat there and he went, that would be really hard. I was like, yeah, it is. And he was like, so they might not be able to play sports and do things that I do. And I said, no, they don't.